Imagine a baby in a modest California home, adopted by a mechanic and a bookkeeper. He will grow up to redraw how we work, listen, watch, and communicate. His name is Steve Jobs. As a child, Steve took things apart, not to break them, but to understand them. His father taught him a quiet rule: if you build something, do it right. Even on the back of the cabinet that no one sees. That invisible standard became a compass he would follow for the rest of his life. Excellence, even where it's unseen. In high school in Cupertino, he met Steve Wozniak, an easygoing genius with a gift for electronics. Woz could build almost anything. Jobs could turn almost anything into a product. They spent nights at the Homebrew Computer Club, where machines smelled like solder and ideas sounded like moonshots. A question took root in both of them. What if a computer could be personal, beautiful, simple, and ready for ordinary people? Jobs later dropped out of Reed College but stayed on as an unofficial student. He wandered into a calligraphy class and was captivated by serifs, spacing, and the rhythm of letters. It looked useless to most people. To him, it was a seed. Years later, that seed would become typography on the Macintosh, and then a standard across the industry. Form and function finally shook hands. He worked briefly at Atari, traveled to India, returned thinner and more minimalist, and found his stubbornness sharpened. Inside him, the world of chips and the world of ideas were starting to share the same room. In 1976, in the garage of his parents' house, the Apple Computer Company was born. The Apple I was a board for hobbyists. The Apple II was a phenomenon: plastic colors, plug in and go. For the first time, computers stepped out of labs and into living rooms. Apple rocketed forward. Jobs became a young millionaire and a relentless perfectionist who demanded the possible and the impossible in the same breath. In 1984 came the Macintosh. A small renegade team built a friendly computer with a graphical interface, a mouse, and beautiful type. The commercial became legend. The product was loved, but it was expensive and limited. Sales stumbled. Tensions rose. In 1985, Steve Jobs was forced out of the company he had founded. The smile at the press conference was polite. Inside, the world collapsed. Most people would have stepped back. Jobs accelerated. He started NeXT, a line of black magnesium computers that were meticulously designed and wildly expensive. The hardware barely sold, but the software quietly became gold. He also bought a small Lucasfilm division and renamed it Pixar. There, Jobs traded boards and chips for stories and characters. In 1995, Toy Story premiered, the first feature film created entirely on computers, and became a global hit. Jobs had become the father of a new industry: digital animation. By 1997, Apple was wobbling. It acquired NeXT, and Steve Jobs returned. He walked on stage in jeans and a black mock turtleneck with a single word in mind: focus. He killed dozens of products and replaced the noise with a simple 2x2 grid: consumer and pro, desktop and portable. Everything else was gone. The company had a new voice. Then came Think Different. It didn't sell specifications. It sold identity. It showed the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, and implied that Apple existed for them. In 1998, the iMac arrived. Translucent, colorful, and unapologetically simple. Critics laughed at the missing floppy drive. Customers didn't. They bought. Apple breathed again. In 2001, Jobs put 1,000 songs in your pocket with the iPod. In 2003, the iTunes Store made paying for music simple and legal. Apple wasn't just selling gadgets, it was building ecosystems, hardware, software, and services that lived as one experience. Then came the diagnosis: cancer. Surgery brought hope. Jobs returned thinner but sharper, carrying a card that would change everything. In 2007, he took the stage and introduced not 3 devices, but 1: an iPod, a phone, and an internet communicator combined into the iPhone. The room erupted. It wasn't just a better phone. It was a pocket computer you controlled with your fingers. A year later, the App Store opened and ignited a new economy. Banking, maps, cameras, rides, music. Suddenly, the future fit in your hand. In 2010, the iPad asked a different question. What if a computer felt like a sheet of glass? Johnny Ive curved the corners. Jobs removed buttons. Apple won by subtraction. The company's secret was clearer than ever. Integrate everything. Hardware, software, and services didn't cooperate. They belonged to each other. What was his method? Jobs believed people don't always know what they want until you show it to them. He wielded a reality distortion field that wasn't about lying. It was about insisting that better was possible and refusing to settle for less. He said no more than any executive alive. Simplicity, he believed, was the result of saying 1,000 no's. There was a cost. Perfectionism burned calendars and tempers. He could be cutting, even brutal. Yet he had a radar for emotion. Unboxing a product felt like opening a gift. Typography had rhythm. The radius of a corner simply felt right. He didn't just design objects. He designed feelings. The illness returned. Jobs stepped back, returned, and stepped back again. On his last stages, the pauses grew longer. On October 5, 2011, he died, at home, surrounded by family, at the age of 56. The ledger of his impact is stark. He helped refactor 5 industries: personal computers with the Mac, music with the iPod and iTunes, phones with the iPhone, animation with Pixar, and mobile computing with the iPad. His playbook was short and powerful: focus, integration, and taste. Start with the user experience and work backward to the technology. Build the back of the cabinet as beautifully as the front. And when in doubt, remove. Go back to the beginning. A father teaching a son to honor even the unseen. A college dropout who sat in on calligraphy and turned letters into software. A fired founder who built Pixar. A returning chief who saved Apple by editing, by cutting everything that wasn't essential. Steve Jobs didn't invent the future alone. He edited it. He trimmed the noise, framed the signal, lifted the useful, and elevated the beautiful. His advice still fits in any pocket. Stay hungry, stay foolish. And if today you touch a piece of glass and something magical happens, it's because Steve Jobs once decided that magic could be engineering, and that the best technology disappears, leaving only the experience.